Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. I see we're a nice big group over here, so this is fantastic. Thank you so much for taking out the time in your day to come and listen to our talk today. So let me just quickly share my screen over here. Let's get a move on. I think it's 2 minutes past 10, and I think that everyone is in. So I'm just quickly going to start off by answering one or two questions about us. Who are we? We are Jan L Jordaan Inc. attorneys. Now, we've been based in Benoni. We've been serving the Greater East Rand area for over 30 years. And so what we stand for is that we're committed to upholding the highest standards of honesty, integrity, and transparency. So our practice is built on the foundation of ethical conduct, clear communication, and mutual respect. Okay, so we foster a culture of collaboration, accountability, and openness, ensuring that every client feels informed and supported throughout their legal journey. Now, who am I? I am Jan Jordaan. I'm a director here at the firm. As you guys can see, here are my contact details over here. So if you do have any questions, please pop them through to me. So that's who I am. And then also, what do we specialize in? So we focus on the administration of deceased estates, deceased estate property transfers, wills, transfer of properties, the registration and cancellation of bonds. We're on all 4 major banks panels, and then we also focus on antenuptial agreements. So before I introduce our guest speaker, I just want to quickly lay down a couple of house rules. As you guys entered the meeting, you'll notice that you've already been muted, your camera is already off. You don't have to unmute yourself, or you don't have to push any buttons. Everything's done for you. Just a couple of things. So how this is going to work. Our guest speaker is going to present, and please, we want to ask that you guys ensure that you answer the questions or ask questions in the chat box. We will, at the end of the presentation, make sure that there's enough time to answer questions. We're going to ask that put everything in the chat box for us. Okay, and then, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to Thato Ramaili. Now, she is the CEO of the PPRA. And Thato, I know you said I must call you Thato and not Mrs. Ramaili, but thank you for that. We want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. We know you are so busy, just to come and have a chat with us. Thato has a whole team with her today, so we are ready to go. And that is it from my side. Thato, can I hand over to you, please?
Yes, thank you so much, Jan, and good morning to all the property practitioners that have joined us this morning, including your firm. But most importantly, I think it will not be right, Jan, if I don't start this webinar this morning by just thanking the Jan L Jordaan attorneys for really inviting me and the PPRA, first of all. And then secondly, for just always being so deliberate and committed to compliance, especially as far as the practitioners in your area are concerned. I know I believe we've had 2 sessions with yourself in person at your offices with my team, especially the registration and licensing team, as well as the education team in that area. So all I'm saying is that I'm seeing what you're doing, and we are grateful to be partnering with you this morning on this info sharing webinar. But without further ado, I will jump into the presentation. But like you've alluded to earlier, Jan, today I'm joined by Deborah Veal, and most practitioners should know who she is. She is the executive heading up the licensing and registration business unit. And I am joined also by Naledi, who's our stakeholder. I'm sure most of them have seen Naledi either via email or in person because she's heading up that business unit. And I believe Mamiki is also here from our research center as well. Naledi, if you can just put it for me in slideshow. But Jan, I wanted to spend most time, obviously, tackling the questions that the practitioners may have instead of really talking. I think I do that too much. So today, I just want to really have us engage with the practitioners who have joined us today. But most of you do know that we are a creature of statute, and we are governed by the Property Practitioners Act. And if you're a practitioner in the country, you should know what that is. And our mandate still rests on 3 pillars, which is to regulate the property practitioners, transform the sector, and also, most importantly, protect consumers in the property sector. Our org structure, obviously, we've got several business units that we have at the PPRA, but the ones that really engage with practitioners on a regular daily basis, one that I have mentioned is the licensing and registration business unit, which is headed up by Deborah. So this is where you are getting your tool of trade. And everybody on this forum should know that on the 1st of July, we are opening our renewal season, where all practitioners will need to come on board to renew your FFCs. And this is particularly the property practitioners who received their FFC now when the Act was promulgated in 2022. So your renewal season is coming up next week, Monday. So we just need to ensure that we are compliant in that regard. And then the other business unit is the education and CPD, professionalization business unit. And we do have a new executive who has been with us since March in that business unit. And then, of course, your compliance and inspection business unit, that is headed up by Ms. Dineo Mpahlele. So when we are talking audit, filing, reports, that's the business unit that you will need to file with. And the deadline for that is the end of August, which we have also been reminding property practitioners. So obviously, if you're not a principal property practitioner, you don't need to be too concerned with your audit filing, but obviously compliance, that is still applicable to you. And then as well as inspections, I'm sure you've seen Dineo's team come to your offices physically, because we do conduct inspections throughout the country, but also via online as well. Some of her team members may have requested some information from yourselves to ensure that we are compliant in that regard. The research business unit, you do know that, again, as prescribed in the Act, we are to conduct research in partnership with the National Research Foundation, which we have done. We have concluded 2 research papers, and one of them we are actually presenting in the US of A this week. There is a conference where we have been invited, but our postdoctoral student is there presenting one of the papers that we've completed. So that's one of the projects that we are proud of. And once that paper is available, we'll share with all our stakeholders. And then, of course, the enforcement business unit, that's the unit that's headed up by Clarence Caton. So, any complaints that either consumers or yourself practitioners we lodge, he's the one responsible for that. And the one which is really central and close to my heart is the transformation business unit, which obviously was introduced with the promulgation of the Property Practitioners Act. And I'll talk to it later on in the presentation. And of course, I am the accounting officer, but I do report to the board of directors. And we have a new board that is chaired by Chairperson Quindi Gungubele, and they came on board in February of this year. And then the stakeholder engagement, that's one of also our exciting business units, which came into being last year. And that's why you'll see us in every province. We've conducted stakeholder engagements with yourselves, either in person or via webinars conducted throughout the country. And that is headed up by Naledi Mpahlele, who's with us today. If I can please go to the next slide. So just a quick, our highlights and achievements. I did mention that transformation is very central and close to my heart. You would have seen some of our programs that we have. The one that is known by many is obviously the One Learner, One Property Practitioner program that we do in partnership with the Services CETA. Most of you would have seen that there's a new cohort that was advertised, I believe, in the month of the latter part of May, but it did close in on the 5th of June. We are taking about 34 learners, and the applications that we received is 2,500. But I think it is important to know that, with transformation, as much as it is our core mandate, the funding in that regard, we are still struggling a great deal with. But we have to obviously fulfill this mandate, which is the one that I'm very passionate about. And you'll see in the next this week, you will see that there is a principalization ad that will also be advertised. We are recruiting for about 27 property practitioners that we need to take through, again, still holding true to our mandate, which is to professionalize the sector. We want to uplift about full status agents into principalship. This is another 12-month program, again, in partnership with Services CETA. They are providing the funding. And I believe the stipend for this one is 5,000 Rand. So what I will do, Jan and Jan, I will make sure that you do receive the ad, so that if you've got PDIs who are interested in this program, they should be sure to attend. And then as well as the SMME incubation program, this is a cohort. We are currently busy with our second cohort, where we have brought 25 SMMEs who are grant recipients, and they are funded by the PPRA, and each SMME has received a grant of 250,000 Rand. And once again, this is the program that was advertised, but this one we are opening it up only to principal property practitioners who are PDIs. And then you will know there is a CPD program, the Continuous Professional Development, that again is prescribed by the Act. You would have seen that we did do a webinar in this regard that we held last week, Thursday, and we tried to make it interesting. Obviously, this time around, we are not only having PPRA executives who are talking on the CPD. We've partnered with your Lightstone, as well as your IREM, who is your International Real Estate Management. Those are the partners that have come on board in regards to our CPD training. And then I did speak about our stakeholder webinars and outreach. For those of you who have not updated your emails addresses, please do so in the chat box, so that lady can be sure to invite you to all our stakeholder engagements. I did also touch briefly on your compliance and enforcement. Before I go on, I saw a chat talking to the Charter Academy CPD training, which I won't obviously dwell much on, but you do know that the Act does prescribe that now in the new dispensation, that CPD training can be also conducted by external service training providers, and not only by the PPRA. So just going on to the compliance and enforcement, like I alluded to earlier, the executive Dineo Mphahlele and her team have gone to ensure that there's inspections conducted, and the practitioners are filing your audit reports on time, and the numbers are there. Sorry, when people are bringing the chat and I'm reading, I miss what I'm taking you guys through today. And then also regarding our enforcement business unit, the complaints that we've received, we've made sure that obviously we are compliant in that regard, and the resolutions are made available in a timely fashion, and as well as the education process. I know that Clarence and team, we did go out to recruit and make sure that we've got chairpersons that are available to adjudicate over our matters, as well as the legal minds as prescribed by the Act as well. And then consumer education as well is something that is very much aligned to our legislation. And this year alone, well, in the year under audit, the year that was, we have conducted 12 sessions nationwide since the inception of this business unit. So we are reaching more practitioners and consumers. We are conducting radio interviews to make sure that we reach those who do not have access to social media as well. I know that Deborah has conducted several TV interviews, as well as Clarence, again, to make sure that we do uphold to the mandate that has been placed upon us by the PPA. And then the other issue that I spoke to is just our webinars that Naledi has been doing a fantastic job, and where most of you have been prescribing of subscribing rather in numbers. We've got a YouTube channel now. We also have our TikTok and other social media platforms. Naledi, if we can move, please, to the next one. You know, it's always good to talk about challenges. I mean, well, achievements. But one thing that I've always done since I've came on board is to make sure that we also remain transparent as far as our challenges are concerned. And I know there are questions that we have received that Deborah, myself, Naledi, and Mamiki will be answering this morning, as far as what you as property practitioners are still facing as challenges, whether coming from the externally or internally from my team. The system issue is still an issue, but I know that we are in a position right now to renew all FFCs for this now new 3-year cycle, to make sure that you are compliant and you obviously have the tool of trade, because we are cognizant of the fact that without a tool of trade you are unable to now practice as practitioners. So that's something that we are still holding really front and center, and Deborah is heading up that project. I did briefly speak about the funding constraints. Look, Services CETA has come on board. We were able to unlock some of the historical financial constraints, just to make sure that we are able to fund most, if not all, of our transformation initiatives. But I did allude earlier and talk to the SMM incubation program that is solely funded by the PPRA. And then your queries are still coming in numbers, and I can guarantee that I'm still CC'd in most the queries that we receive, and I ensure that we do they do receive the attention that they warrant. Even just last night, I was on the call with Deborah late last night, just making sure that the urgent queries we are able to move through, and we address our backlog with the limited resources that we have. But we do have employees working overtime over the weekends to make sure that we are ready for our renewal season. And the how the public views us is always really important to me. The reputation that just the overall perception from stakeholders and consumers, and that's something that I always make sure that, and my staff knows as well as my executives, that we always try to put our best foot forward, and that obviously is born from the simple things, and I always challenge my team to say, answering emails, and I think that was one of the questions that we got, even if you don't have an answer at the time, but just acknowledging emails is something that I'm still deliberate on. That's why the emails that come through me, I answer. I make sure that I answer them. My number still remains unchanged, so that means almost over 40,000 of you do have my number, and I do take time to really answer the whatever communication that comes through to my office. If not, I make sure that I delegate to the respective business units to ensure that your needs are met. Because as a regulator, really, we don't exist really without practitioners. So every day we come here, we go to the offices to make sure, one, we have a mandate that we need to uphold, but secondly, we need to service our stakeholders, which is yourselves. And just moving forward, for those of you, I know we were summoned to Portfolio Committee, which is the Parliament, last week, to just say, to table our APP, which is our annual performance plan, as well as our strategic objectives for the next 5 years. And obviously that flows through from the national, and then obviously to the departmental, which is the Department of Human Settlements, and then to us as the PPRA. Obviously the strategy is owned by the board, but the executives and the management of the PPRA is to ensure that we do implement the strategy. And what we've done, which is the first time that we're doing it, the ICT as an enabler, we have amplified it. We've included it in our strategy plan for the next 5 years. So it's no longer going to be a thing of the past, whether our systems are working or not. It's something that we're really going to be measured against. So we need to make it work and ensure that our systems do enable us to fulfill our mandate. And I think we are onto a right path now with the appointment of a chief information officer, and just really capacitating that business unit as a whole. And Deborah will touch on it maybe later when she speaks, but we are in the process right now of modernizing and our website, and that process kickstarted last week, because we did hear your cries of saying that our systems are not necessarily user friendly, and that's the process that we are busy embarking on right now. And obviously compliance and enforcement, I will not belabor the point. I did touch briefly on it, but you will continue to see us in your offices throughout the country to ensure that our inspections are conducted, and obviously finalizing the complaints that come from consumers, and the ones that we currently have on our roll. We are obviously mandated and expected to conclude those complaints. And on this one, colleagues, I just want to put it out there that when you lodge a complaint today, let's say you are lodging it against your fellow property practitioner, or or the consumer is lodging it against yourself, there is a turnaround period. We are allowed, the Act prescribes that we give the respondent an opportunity to respond, right? And that is 21 days. So once you lodge a complaint, you're saying that somebody has embezzled funds, we don't take your word as truth. We need to make sure that we also adhere to our end of the bargain. So we give the respondent an opportunity to respond before we decide whether the matter is going for an adjudication or a mediation. So I just wanted to put it out there, because sometimes people lodge a complaint and within 24 hours, they're already calling me to find out where the complaint is. But I can guarantee you that most of these matters I am alive to, and we are following up on them. And for those of you who, it's taken more than 90 days, please do raise it with myself, and then I can rope in Clarence, who can then give feedback in this regard. And then transformation, I think I've spoken to, but one of our projects, it's actually one of the biggest projects we've done to date, is in partnership with the KZN EDTA. Obviously, it's a program, it's a tripart agreement between Services SETA, PPRA, as well as EDTA, where we have taken, the drive was to do 750, recruit 750 practitioners, but on this program currently there's 646, and the project is coming to completion the end of September, and the retention rate has been really incredible. And that's one of the programs that I want to roll out throughout the country to ensure that we are empowering women in the sector, and most particularly youth, which is again one of our mandate at a national level, to ensure that we empower women, youth, and persons with disabilities. Consumer protection still, and I think forever, will remain key because of the nature of our sector, to make sure that we do roll out educational campaigns and empower the public as far as the property sector is concerned. And most, if not everyone on this forum must know that obviously with the new act, in order for any members of the public or consumers to have recourse in any real estate matters that have gone south, the first question when the matters come to us will be, does the property practitioner have a tool of trade? So that's why it is so important for you to comply, but also for us to hold our end of the bargain to make sure that we do provide you with a tool of trade. One, to protect yourselves, and then secondly, to protect the consumers in case there is a recourse. And then, just at an organizational level, what I have been consistent or deliberate on is just making sure that the stakeholders, internal stakeholders that we have, so that is our staff, from the executive up, we have competent individuals who we are recruiting, and for those that are already internally, we equip them and give them strengthen their skill set to ensure that they are able or they're in a position to better service our stakeholders. And just looking at the time, I've been really talking for about half an hour, and I really want to take this opportunity to open it up to the floor. But before we do that, just go into some of the questions that the practitioners have sent through, obviously the law firm, which is what you are still grappling with, and take this opportunity to just enlighten you, reiterate some of the issues, and bring clarity to some of the issues that you have brought forth. So without further ado, I'll stop here and then we can open it up to the questions. Jan, I will take your guidance. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Thato. I really appreciate it. So we have a couple of questions from our side before we dive into the chat over here. So if I'm just going to pose the questions as they came up on the discussion or what we've sent through to you. So yeah, let's just quickly start over here. Now, what are the PPRA's future plans regarding education, and when can implementation be expected? Do you want to comment further on that, Thato?
Yes, no, thank you for that, Jan. I'll take it. So there has been communication that has come through from our education, professionalization and CPT business unit, and the issues have always been around the educational standards. And there will be just one last communique coming out just to provide clarity, because the one question that we received, Jan, was, okay, we understand the old dispensation, but now under the PPA, if I want to come through as a property practitioner, what do I do, right? So that's the communication that the path, right, that we have communicated to stakeholders. But as far as educational standards are concerned, we are in the process of finalizing that framework. But I just wanted to put a comfort out there, and I hope Services Center doesn't kill us. I know the one issue that has come forth is just around the NQF level 5 qualification, right? People have said, if I want to become a principal right now, there's a pause. We are not getting any joy from Services CETA. So there will be a joint communique coming from the property PPRA and Services CETA to provide further extension. So meaning everybody who's in the sector right now, and they can still continue with their NQF 5 level qualifications. But I don't know if Mamiki wants to elaborate further on that question, Jan, before we move on Naledi.
No
thank
problem.
you.
Naledi, Mamiki, would you guys like to comment on that?
Nothing from me. Maybe Mamiki, can you come in if you're there?
Nothing from me as well, Naledi.
Okay.
CEO has touched on it.
Okay, perfect. So then I'm going to go through to the second question that we have over here. There is a perception that agents are required to fund everything themselves. Could you clarify the PPRA's position?
Okay. So, one, most of you on this forum know that we are one of the 6 entities under the Department of Human Settlements, right? So we are considered an organ of state. And of all the entities, we are the one entity from inception since 1976 that we fund everything ourselves. So the faces that you see on this forum today, the salaries, they're funded by them, the building. So we don't get any budget from the fiscals, right? But I mean, we do understand, Jan, that while practitioners are responsible for meeting the basic compliance requirements, obviously such as exams, your CPD, your tool of trade, your license to operate, we do support obviously transformation program initiatives. And I did speak of some of the programs that we're finding. So if you are a new entrant into the sector, taking you through the One Learner One program, Services SITA does fund. We have funded the FFCs for those practitioners in the last, since I've came on board, the principalization programs, which is now, you know, the PDE professionalization programs, we fund those. So I spoke about a 5,000 rand stipend earlier where we are currently recruiting. So now there'll be a group of about, 27 now, and then there's another program coming on later in the year. We will be funding that. So we give a 5,000 rand stipend to take you through the program, as well as when you're ready to write the exam, we will then obviously give those students the funding to be able to take our exams. So that's how we are advocating for and continue to support our property practitioners. Unfortunately, at this point, I can't say all 40,000 of you, please come on board. We've got, we're gonna fund your FFCs, right? But we do make sure that we do even offer non-financial support. So for me, our webinars that we do, and some of them, Jan, we bring really experts from the sector, and I can't believe that is for free, which we've done. And I did speak to the numbers earlier on today. So I think I'll answer that question in that manner. Thanks. Jan, you're muted. You're muted.
Oh, my goodness. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so the next question that came up over here is many agents feel that the PPRA systems are fragmented. Is there a plan to streamline operations?
Yes, thank you for that, Jan. So currently, there is a comprehensive system integration project that is underway that I did speak to earlier. And this is to consolidate, obviously, our key business units, such as registration, compliance, education, as well as, most importantly, the finance business unit. But that observation is correct. And one of the things that I've been saying since I came on board is that we work in silos, but we are, you know, we've been slowly but surely making sure that we work as a unit, but obviously for efficiency and effectiveness, that will need to be translated in the ICT environment and realm as well. So that is currently underway.
Okay. Thank you. Then with respect to trust accounts, agents who apply for exemption report receiving no response. August is the deadline for audit reports. Can this process be improved?
Deborah, are you still happy for me to continue? Because what you're touching on now, Jan, is obviously in line with section 54, subsection 6 of our Act. And there is a standardized and automated application process that is being developed. But in the interim, Jan, the practitioners can email audit@theppra.org.za to apply for exemptions. And I know that there is a deadline is approaching the end of August, but for practitioners who are on this forum today, who have sent their emails to the email that I just read out, once again, audit@theppra.org.za, I'm happy for you to escalate to me so that I can take it up with the responsible executive. But I do know that once you submit your audit report, there is just an automated response to say, we have received your audit report, but if you're talking about queries or clarity-seeking questions, maybe that's where maybe practitioners are not getting joy. And I'm here to say that for those who have not received any response whatsoever, please can you compile the list for us, for my offices, and then I can take it up with the head of that business unit.
Okay. Deborah, would you like to comment on that?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, CE. Perhaps I can just explain a couple of things just to make it a little easier so that everyone understands and your applications get to the right place. There are different types of exemptions which are provided for in the legislation. The one that you've queried is your trust account exemption. Now, that is not dealt with by registrations. It's actually dealt with by the audit department. And it's done in the form of the affidavit, which is contained in Regulation 2. It goes to the audit department and they make a decision on that, which is quite outside the usual exemption process, which we deal with in registrations. So there are a number of different kinds, and I think it's important to note, as CE has said, those ones for trust accounts must go to audit at the ppra.org.za. Those that are, for example, requiring education exemptions from an equivalency exemption of some sort, those go to the exemptions at the PPRA inbox. And that is dealt with by the education department. It's not something that's within our area. Those that are wanting ordinary exemptions, for example, Section 4 exemptions, where you are asking for an exemption from a specific provision of the Act and asking that it doesn't apply to you, or you're bringing an application for an exemption for a director who is a non-executive director. In that instance, it goes to Section 4 exemptions. It's section number 4 exemptions at the ppra.org.za. So we do have a situation where people send it to exemptions at the PPRA, and of course it doesn't come to us because that goes to education. So somehow it gets lost in translation. So the first thing to do is perhaps to ensure that we send it to the correct email address for the relief that we seek. And then from there, if you have an issue, you can always send me an email, or as the CEO said, her, if you're not receiving a response.
Thank you, Deborah. So the next question comes down to communication. There are concerns. Communication challenges are a major concern. Calls going unanswered and emails received but with no reply. What is the solution being considered?
CE, I don't know if you want me to take that or if you want to deal with it.
Yes, I think you can actually answer, well, come in after me, Deborah, because I know that obviously anytime a practitioner calls or emails, it has to do with, it's areas touching your business unit. But Jan and all practitioners on the call this morning, obviously improving our communication is a key priority. It has always been. That's why earlier I said, I know 40,000 of you have my WhatsApp, because the concern that I got when I started at the PPRA was the effect that people don't answer WhatsApps, they don't answer calls, they don't answer emails. But I'm confident that I know it has improved. And the reason why I say this is because where I'm CC'd is no longer 100 emails a day, which was the case. But currently the PPRA is upgrading. We are upgrading our contact center, and we're implementing a ticketing system. And there is a WhatsApp center that actually has been effected, I believe, over the weekend. And once again, Jan, I'll share that with you, because we said, what do some businesses or even regulators do? So that's something that now it's in effect, so that at least for especially the automated responses, sometimes people want to ask, how do I get my FFC? And somebody can answer that quickly, as opposed to getting through an email. And then there is a CRM system that is in development as well, to track and respond to our practitioner queries more efficiently. But for now, if people are still struggling to get through to the call center, which I do concede with this one, Jan, that has been brought to my attention as recent as on Friday that, you know, the call center is not necessarily answering calls for whatever reasons known to them, but we are looking into that. The practitioners can log a query either on the portal or via email through stakeholder.engagement@theppra.org.za. And once again, we will just put that email, Naledi, if you can assist on the chat, but as an interim measure. But I think for now, we've never had a WhatsApp center. Let's look into that. But what I also wanted to appeal to the property practitioners, you'll see that a person logs one query through all forums. They'll send an email, they log in on the portal. So we then end up with one query, but when you look at our numbers, you'll say it's 10 queries. But in essence, it's only one query. But I think let's try stakeholder.engagement@theppra.org.za, as well as the WhatsApp center, just to, you know, in assistance to streamline our efforts. Thank you, Jan. I don't know, Deborah, maybe I did now cover it holistically in that regard.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, CE. Yes, I think you did. But perhaps just to mention, if I know that our website is currently being overhauled, but there are always notices on our website with information, with instructions, which are a much easier way to go than coming directly to us. So do try and keep a lookout on the system. And just to add on to what the CEO said about multiple queries being logged for the same thing. Please remember that in terms of the statute, we have a 30 working day period that is allowed by law for us to issue a fidelity fund certificate. So don't come back to us after a week, because the chances are that your application has not yet been fully dealt with. And if you give it, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Deborah. So on my side, I'm not sure if everyone heard that, but it was cracking a bit, if I can say that. But please correct me if I misheard, Deborah. But from basically what you said, they need to go onto the website, just check out the notices, and that the legislation currently makes way for a 30-day turnaround time from the PPRA. So once you've logged a query, do not follow up within a week, but rather after 30 days. That's the gist of what I got from what you said, with all the cracking in between. I just want to get an indication from you. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what she said, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Naledi. Appreciate it. Thank you. Does it take several months, often 4 to 5, for an FFC to be issued?
Thank you for that, Jan. Deborah, I don't know if you are still there, but so several reasons, Jan. So the delay in issuing FFCs is due to various factors, right? Whether systematic or documentation and compliance verification bottlenecks, right? But also, this is one way, as much as I'm going to concede, I'm also going to put it back now into the practitioners' court, right? Most practitioners do not submit complete and correct information, right? And so applications are done manually at this stage, and the timeline has been extended to 20 days. So if somebody submits an FFC application, which is compliant, and by compliant means everything is there, you've submitted all your documentation, it's accompanied by an application form, proof of payment, everything, per the Act, we've got, so if you submit less on the 1st of January, by the 31st of January, you should have that FFC. So that's what's prescribed. But obviously, our goal is to say, once we receive a compliant application form, we are supposed to our turnaround time must be quicker than that. But for those applications that are not compliant, and this is where now I challenge my team, instead of sending an email to say, John, you didn't attach your ID copy, it's quicker to just pick up the call and say, John, just send me the ID copy. But what has been done is the email is sent, then there's a back and forth. But however, Jan, in addition to that, in line with obviously Section 48 of our Act, we are streamlining our FFC issuance processes through obviously automation and improved back office processing, which is another area where we didn't have. So we are trying to tighten our internal controls and better integration, of course, between our CPD compliance and then registration systems. But once again, practitioners are also encouraged to submit all documents correctly to avoid these delays. And if they're being asked for more information, I'm asking that they please comply so that they are assisted promptly, especially now that it's renewal season. We are all going to be under pressure to be able to deliver between now and obviously October of 2025. So, Deborah, I don't know if you want to come in there regarding FFC issuances. Thanks.
Thanks, C. I apologize. My network seems to have gone down. Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay. I've changed from the office one to my personal phone, so I hope that's going to last a bit better. Right. Thank you, CE. Yes, I think that's crucial for us to be aware of, and we certainly are working with trying to expedite these things. As you're aware, we do have systems being developed at the moment. We have to develop our systems to be able to accommodate 12 different industries under the new Act, and that's proving a more difficult task than what we anticipated. The reason for that is that we're working with an old system that we're required to patch and to change and to try and configure so that it will work, even though it's not designed for the purposes that we need it to address currently. As CEO has said, we are in the process of implementing or purchasing a new system, which once it's in will solve a lot of these problems. But currently we've got to work with our old system with limited capacity, and that's why we're taking a bit longer. So this does cause downtime, it does cause problems and glitches as we go along, and it is very frustrating for our stakeholders, both internal and particularly external. So yes, we apologize for that, but we are certainly doing our best to improve the situation as far as we can. Thank you.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Two more questions from my side, and then we'll start going into the chat. We just need to watch the time. But agents are reportedly working for multiple agencies. Why is this permitted, as it creates huge challenges?
Okay. CE, do you want to address that, or do you want me to?
No, you can, Deborah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, CE. Okay, yes, we are aware of the fact that there appears to have been a proliferation in the industry of people operating under a number of different firms. And the first thing that I can mention is that this is something that our enforcement and disciplinary department is investigating, and they are investigating a number of different industry players who appear to be permitting and or facilitating this type of situation. It is unlawful. Please understand that property practitioners who are not principals can only operate under one firm. That firm has to be registered with us. It has to be headed by a principal if they are estate agents, or by a director if it's one of the other industries. And they have to be employed and have a Fidelity Fund certificate under that firm that they are registered under. Now, we are experiencing the fact that a number of interns as well as full status agents are basically registering under a number of different firms without registering with us and operating for them. We will never allow an FFC to be issued to a property practitioner under more than one firm in the same industry. All right, the Act does permit property practitioners to work for more than one firm in different industries, but only one in each industry. Principals, however, are allowed to operate under as many firms as they wish as principals. They can also operate under one firm as a non-principal, okay, but not more than one. But as far as the business property practitioners are concerned, which is your firms, you can be a principal of as many firms as you wish, as long as your firm is completely compliant, it's completely registered with us, it has all the auditing and oversight requirements that go with the provisions of the Act. As far as a couple of concerns that we have come across, I think has caused vision that if you
Pardon me, could you maybe just repeat that again? Unfortunately, we lost you again.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, that's perfect, thank you.
Okay. Is that the regulation 4123 part that you lost?
We missed almost the last, call it, minutes of discussion.
Okay, all right. Okay, sorry, I apologize. I don't know why I'm having such difficulty with the network, but in any event, let me try again. So just to reiterate then, and please indicate if you lose me. If you, in terms of the Act, property practitioners can only operate under one firm as a candidate or as a full status agent in any one industry. A property practitioner who is a principal is permitted to operate under as many firms as they wish under any one industry. The Act does permit a property practitioner to work for more than one firm in different industries. So you can be a full status agent in an estate agent industry and also be an employee in, for example, a managing agency. Okay, that is permitted in terms of the Act. But nobody is permitted to operate in the capacity of a candidate or a full status agent under more than one firm in any one industry. Now, the reason, principals, of course, as I've said, can operate under as many firms as they wish. They are also permitted to operate under one firm as a non-principal, but not more than one. Now, I know that the confusion may have been caused by Regulation 4123, which is a regulation that provides that property practitioners only need to have one FFC for every capacity in which they operate under the same industry. What this means is if you have a principal who has 5 firms, his individual FFC doesn't say which firm he operates for, what his status is, and he can use that individual FFC for all his firms. However, the Act says each firm must have its own Fidelity Fund certificate as well. So that only applies where the firm is registered and where the property practitioner is registered under that firm. All right. So it's very important for property practitioners to understand that they cannot operate under the one FFC under firms that are not registered with us or in capacities where they have not registered with us under that particular firm. And we will never issue a Fidelity Fund certificate to a property practitioner who is not a principal to operate in under more than one firm. We will simply not do that. Okay, so I don't know if that clarifies it. I can mention, and I did say, I think earlier, that we are in the process through our our disciplinary and enforcement department in investigating some of the big players who are operating a business model which appears to be in contravention with this. And they are investigating that particularly. And I'm talking about those business property practitioners who have one principal, they register 50 candidates, but the candidates are actually operating in the name of their own firm. That firm's name is not registered with us. They are not principals and they are not allowed to operate their own firm. And so, in fact, your principal there is going to be charged and going to be held accountable for that kind of situation arising.
Sure. Okay. So the PPRA website, and I do believe this was sort of addressed, is the PPRA website is reported to as difficult to navigate. Are there plans for improvement? So I think that was touched on by Thato a couple of minutes ago. But if there's any additional comments to make.
Yes, no, I think, Jan, I did say that there is a developer who has started the work last week. And obviously the first phase is expected to launch still in this 2025-2026 financial year.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, that's it from our side. Now let's quickly jump into a couple of questions. I see that there are one or two of them that have been answered throughout this conversation. So let's just quickly have a look over here. Okay, so from Sandiswa, there's a question that says, why are you charging admin? It makes everything expensive and unaffordable. Would you guys like to comment on that?
Deborah, I don't know if you want to touch on it, but before I think I also touched upon it, Jan, when I was talking about us being a self-funded entity. So,
yes.
And I think let's give credit where credit is due. Before we were issuing FFCs once every year, but now you pay for it one time and then you forget about us for 3 years, right? So I think there has been, some, financial assistance or alleviation in that regard. But also what we've done is we said we are a regulator, and one exercise that we embarked upon last year to say, what are other regulators such as ours doing? So take it, for instance, you would know, Jan and Jan, with the LPC, which is the regulator that governs, obviously, attorneys, what funds are associated? So you get a FFCs, do they have admin fees? And I can confidently say yes. So if we are going to be a sustainable regulator in this country, we need to benchmark ourselves with other entities, right? To make sure that we also are able to be efficient in what we do. But yeah, I think maybe let me leave it at that. Thanks.
Okay. So then I'm going to go to the next question that came up is, why may property practitioners who submitted logbooks not be exempted from NQF4 if property practitioners are exempted from logbooks?
Okay, so there is an exemption for NQF level 4 and actually NQF level 5. It is not automatic. You need to apply for it, and there's a cost associated with that. So that we're already doing. We've been doing it even in the old dispensation. But now with the logbook issue, I'm sure everybody on this call should know that we do away with the actual logbook submission. Now principals are supposed to just issue a letter of exemption. So I think it's safe to say that we are exempting both. And the only new introduction to how we were doing things is just the doing away with the actual logbook. But exemptions, I can't remember who asked the question, but we have been doing it. You just need to apply for it. Thank you, John.
Okay. Then there were a couple of statements in between, but I'm going to try and stick to the questions so that questions are answered. So this is from Joe. Why are existing practitioners that have now had to apply for managing agency as well being charged a name reservation fee? It is an existing agency that has been registered with the PPRA for decades, and now we are charged a name reservation fee for an agency already on your system. Please, can I get clarity here?
Okay, I can answer that, CE, if you would like.
Please do, Deborah.
Thank you. All right, in terms of the legislation, we are required to ensure that any business property practitioner that operates in all the industries, whether it's in one or all of them or a few, does not operate under a name that is confusing or the same or similar to a property practitioner that is already operating under a name of that kind within that industry. So in every single industry, when you register, you are required to give us the name that you are going to operate under in that particular industry. And we have to check by law to see whether there is another firm operating under the same name or a similar name or under the name that is confusingly similar to that name before we issue you with a Fidelity Fund certificate for that industry. So that is required of us by Act.
Okay, thank you. Let's quickly just go to the next question. Tando asks over here, can you please explain the new logbook system? I'm currently studying NQF level 4 with Prop Academy, and they told me that the system has changed.
CEO, I don't know, because that one was replied, Jan, in the
Oh,
in the
was that
chat.
replied? Okay, my apologies.
Maybe if we
Let's
can
just
go to the ones that don't have replies.
Yeah, no, my apologies. It's just difficult to see which ones are required to, but thank you. Okay, Mary asks, I would love to be a part of the transformation program. How do I go about this?
Yes, thank you. Okay, do you want to answer, Naledi? Come in.
Thank you, CE. So with the transformation, we do have a pledge form on our website if you want to participate as a host employer. And once we roll out and we go to provinces, at least we will have you on the database. And your question, because it's not clear, how would you like to participate as a host employer or as a one learner, one property practitioner? So maybe if you can clarify, but if you want to be a host employer for future, can I ask that you go to our website and fill in the pledge form and send it to our transformation unit? The email address is also on the form, and they will put you in the database and be in touch once they do the interviews and they go to various provinces. Thanks, John.
Perfect. Thank you. I see that there are one or two questions that was answered. I'm just taking some time to make 100% sure. Okay, I see a lady already answered that question. Hi, this is from Monica. Hi, are we going to be able to access the record? Oh, yes, you will definitely. We are recording this, so we will discuss how we are going to distribute the recording. Is there any plans to learn in all official languages from Yulisa?
Yulisa, you are so progressive in thinking. Because this is a conversation I was having with one of the people that they helping us with our program in KZN, because most practitioners there, some of them coming from the rural areas, they can hardly speak English, but they are selling homes in their mother tongue. So for me, and I think this is one, it's a hard project, because I say that, we've got 12 official languages in this country. The constitution is written in the majority of those languages. Deborah, keep me honest. Why can't our material with the PPRA also be the same? So that's, but now don't now put a timeline on me, but I guarantee you that's one of the things on my to-do list as CEO of the PPRA, to say we must make our material available in all our languages. And that talks to our exams, that talks to our CPD material as well. So thank you for that, because that then affirms my, what I would like to see happening within the organization.
Deborah, would you like to comment further?
No, I think that covers it. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, then Zoliswa asked the question, please may you assist. How do we address our complaints regarding the penalties incurred due non-cancellation of candidates' estate agent who work under an agency that gone under? That's what was written from Zoliswa.
Okay. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what we're referring to, but I assume it's where you failed to deregister yourself when you stopped operating under that firm. And if that's the case, bear in mind that in terms of the Act, when you apply for a Fidelity Fund certificate to operate, that Fidelity Fund certificate has to be renewed before the 30th of October of the last year in which that FFC is valid. If you fail to do that and you haven't advised us in writing that you are no longer going to be operating as a property practitioner, you will attract penalties. Now, that's in terms of the Act. It's not something that we dreamed up ourselves. That's what the Act says, and the regulation says exactly how much you have to pay in relation to those penalties. We do have the waiver. You can apply for a waiver of those penalties by using the affidavit, which is on our website, and you then submit it and you tell us, I was not operating during the following period, from the date of your last FFC until the date of your new application to operate. And you then advise that you are applying for a waiver of those penalties, and you provide whatever evidence you wish in relation to what you were doing and the fact that you were not operating in the industry. We have, as I suppose, an ex gratia way of assisting, we have said that we will consider exempting those people from the penalty based on the circumstances, and that you can submit also to the regulations, the regulations department, the registrations department. Sorry. So I think that's one of the options. It's not necessarily so that it will be granted, but it will be considered, and if it's granted, you will be advised what you have to pay in relation to your re-registration.
Perfect. Thank you. Then Justine Harpen is asking, can an admitted attorney become a principal of a real estate company whereby they can employ other agents? If so, can they do so without completing the NQF 4 and 5 as they have a higher qualification? And will they need to do both PDE 4 and PDE 5?
Okay, thank you. Let me perhaps explain a couple of things in relation to that question. First of all, an attorney is exempted from operating, from registering with us for any property practitioner activities that he performs in the legal practice that he operates, okay? But only within the legal practice. So such property practitioner activities that arise as a result of his legal practice and what he does in his legal practice. As soon as he wants to operate as a property practitioner in the estate agent industry, he is required to register with us, not as an attorney, but as an estate agent. In order to do so, all the requirements of the Act are applicable to him. However, the regulations under Regulation 33 says that you can apply for an equivalency exemption if you have another qualification which is akin to or superior to the one that we say you need. In that way, you then apply to exemptions at the ppra.org.za, and you say, this is my qualifications, please can I apply for an equivalency exemption? And the education department will quite likely exempt you from the NQF 4 and 5 and tell you which of the PDE exams you are required to comply with. You would also have to do your practical training or your internship under an estate agent, as everybody is required to do. And Regulation 33 provides that we cannot give you an FFC unless you have done that.
Thank you, Deborah. Next question. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. I'm going to say Cora for, yeah, so sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. Why does the PPRA not pick up when agents has committed fraud and still has operating FFCs and is still active in the field?
Deborah, you wanna let me take a stab at it. So one, we are not everywhere at the same time, everywhere in the country. I don't even know if I pose that correctly. But what I'm trying to say is that we also rely on property practitioners because you are on the field. You know who are your counterparts who are not supposed to be doing what they're doing. And I know that in all instances where that has been reported, those are some of the matters that we do prioritize. One, why do we do that? One, it gives you as property practitioners a bad name, especially if there's a crook in the area. Secondly, it also does not protect our consumers, because if there is an unscrupulous property practitioner who closes a deal, goes away with people's money, it puts consumers at a disadvantage. So for those we obviously conduct our own inspections where we get leads in all areas. I can guarantee you, I mean, there was one practitioner that I called last week in Sandton, and they played, ignorance. They said, oh, we didn't know we're supposed to operate. And there, our mandate as a PPRA is to make sure that we regularize those who literally honestly don't know they're supposed to have an FFC. But for those who know they're supposed to, but they're doing it, it's illegal, right? And we do rely on yourselves to really collaborate on this with us, because I think it's really it's a national mandate where we're supposed to assist each other, to assist the consumers and the citizens of this country. So Deborah, you can come in for those, but also, sorry, Deborah, before you come in, and Quera, I don't know if you've seen the last communique, but we are in collaboration with the LPC, which is the Legal Practice Council. So for those practitioners who obviously transact and illegally, they can do whatever they want, but when it comes to commission paying, there's one who took us all the way to the presidency because we withheld their professional fee because we were able to prove that they transacted illegally. So and now their conveyancer then paid the funds to us. So we're trying to tackle it, obviously not in silo with other organizations such as the LPC, which is the Legal Practice Council, but also, like I said, relying on yourselves to report such matters to us. Thanks.
Thanks, CE. I think just to add, we do have a whistleblower, which if you want to remain anonymous, you can use that on our website. But yes, we won't be able to actually act against somebody if we don't know. So it's important that you tell us that there is something. If you could submit, if you have suspicion based on some grounds that there is something going on, please advise us.
Okay, we said till 15:15, so that was the last question for the day. We want to apologize, but unfortunately everyone's schedules are busier, and so I want to just take a moment and say thank you to everyone for joining. Thato, Deborah, Naledi, everyone, just thank you so much for making an effort to come through to us. We really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. I think this was a good conversation, and who knows, maybe in future we'll do it again. And then I want to know, are there maybe closing comments from your side, Thato?
Well, thank you so much once again for your firm to allowing us an opportunity to hear it. I always say from the horse's mouth. So I'm not the horse, but so is Deborah and Naledi. And these are important because I think this is our duty, I think, as a regulator, to ensure that information is disseminated far and wide to all property practitioners and stakeholders in this sector that we love so very much. But also, I mean, I see there's another comment, and I'm not taking your job, Jan, where somebody's asking, are we going to have an NQF level 5 program this year? And the answer is yes, if they can just share their email address. And this is what this sessions are for, for information sharing, for clarity, seeking questions where we provide clarity as the PPRA, and really to reiterate some of our issues. So thank you so much. I'm happy to have this twice a year if you wish, and maybe next time we'll come to where you are. Is it Benoni?
Yes.
Yes. So thank you once again for giving us an opportunity to really attend this session with yourselves.
Thank you, Thato. I really appreciate it. Thank you.